Welcome to What is Going On for new thought from the edge of Om. Each week on OMTimes flagship radio show, veteran broadcaster, author, and media consultant Sandie Sedgbeer conducts thought-provoking interviews with inspirational authors, artists, musicians, scientists, speakers, and filmmakers who are working at the point where spirituality and science meet consciousness at the very edge of Om. Here is your host, Sandie Sedgbeer.
Hello and welcome. Kezum Cave, Göbekli Tepe, the Bosnian Pyramids. These are just some of the stunning discoveries of the last few decades that are challenging what we thought we knew about the history of civilization, the origins of humanity, and the purpose of pyramids. Today we're going to be delving into this topic with the discoverer of the first pyramids to be found on European soil, Dr. Samir Osmanagich. Hello, Sam. Thank you for joining us again.
Hello, Sandie. I'm very happy to be back.
You discovered the lost pyramids of Bosnia in 2005. In 2008, you hosted an archaeological conference in Sarajevo, which ignited enormous controversy about your discovery and divided the archaeological community. And undeterred, you have continued to invest many thousands of hours in archaeological digging, sample testing, radiocarbon dating, creating scientific conferences, and overcoming obstacles from cultural media and political establishments. The project is now massive, and I want to know, how is the archaeological community treating you now?
Well, it's been 18 years since I discovered the Bosnian Pyramids. In the meantime, it has become the most active archaeological site in the world. Every year, hundreds of volunteers, our workers, experts from different fields coming internationally, joining us and enjoying this most exciting project in the world of archaeology. And you're right, in the very beginning, 2005, 6, 7, 8, many voices against us saying it's impossible to have pyramids in Bosnia. They are built in Egypt. There are tombs for pharaohs. Well, in the meantime, things have changed. We've realized that pyramids were built all over the planet, not only in Egypt and Mexico. They are on all 6 continents. Plus, majority of them covered by soil and vegetation, like, for example, 250 pyramids in China, in the central province of Shanxi, or more than 100,000 Mayan pyramids in Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Belize, 97% of them still in the jungles and forests. So it's very important to understand why the Bosnian pyramids, being in the same climate belt like Chinese or Mexican, are covered by soil, vegetation, and forest. Well, cultural establishment, which was so against us in the beginning, archaeologists, geologists, historians, museums, they are silent now because in the meantime we have discovered so much archaeologically and scientifically. Sandie, this is what we have after 18 years. We've discovered 6 pyramids in central Bosnia in the town of Visoko. Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun being the largest on the planet. The Great Pyramid of Egypt, or Khufu, is 147 meters in height. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, according to the latest LiDAR technology, 368 meters. The second pyramid, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon, with the height of 190, also bigger than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. It's history changing. Then the pyramids of the Dragon, Earth, Love, and the 6th pyramid. Then we have tumulus complex. Tumulus in archaeology is artificially made conical hill. And then we have underground tunnels. At the time when we discussed those tunnels a few years back, we had 1 entrance. Now we've discovered 6 entrances to those prehistorical underground tunnels at 2 different levels. The first one, 476 meters above the sea level. The second one, 471. Is getting more and more exciting. Now, archaeologically speaking, This is huge discovery. Under the layers of soil on the Sun Pyramid, we've been discovering the hardest and the oldest concrete on the planet, the best quality, much harder and more durable than what we can make today in 21st century. A lot of elements of sacred geometry being applied there. When we discussed this first time, years back, we were talking about equilateral triangle between the tops of the Sun, Moon, and Dragon Pyramid. The distances between the tops, 2,180 meters. But in the meantime, we discovered that two golden section spirals, Fibonacci spirals, were incorporated in the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids, which is really amazing. When you have elements of sacred geometry, you have movement of the energy. And sure enough, this project was not about being tombs for one dead body, but about the energy.
Yes.
Yes. We have had teams of physicists, electrical engineers, sound engineers, telecommunication engineers, medical doctors, people with the scientific instruments that measure. And this is what we concluded. On the very top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, we have an energy beam, which is electrical in nature, 28 kilohertz frequency, continuous because we measure it during the summer and fall and winter and spring, and it's getting stronger as it moves away from the top of the pyramid. In science, this phenomenon is called the scalar waves. According to the brilliant mind of Nikola Tesla from 125 years ago, who investigated this subtle energy phenomena, scalar waves move quicker than the speed of light. And it's been confirmed by the work of Russian physicists in the last 50 years. What does that mean? It means that first potential purpose of pyramid energy is the communication device. And guess what? We are the first one in the world confirming that in a scientific way.
I remember the very first conversation you and I had on air in Las Vegas in 2013. And I asked you what that beam was all about. And you were a bit reluctant to say at that point that it was for something like communication.
Yes. In the meantime, of course, we got much more information. Yeah. We wanted to know where this, energy beam is directed to. So we were thinking maybe some star systems. No. In the morning, direction of this beam is to the east. At the noontime, south, afternoon, southwest, evening, west. And that's exactly the path of our sun. What does that mean? Does it mean that this energy beam is communicating with our sun and maybe using it as the cosmic gate to communicate with other solar systems? Well, technically, it is possible. And then with other galaxies, it is possible. But then energy always flows in two directions. The pyramids are transmitters, but at the same time, they are antennas. They receive information. Yeah. So it is possible that we have some type of the cosmic internet. So, and now it's making sense. Instead of being tombs for one dead body, the communication on very, very long distances is becoming so important. But then, Sandie, if our planet is point A, where is the point B? And where is the point C and D? So we probably have the huge network, at least in our galaxy.
Wow. Yeah. And you've now got, more than 2 miles of tunnels that are cleared, and that you think that originally there were 60 miles of the tunnel.
Exactly. Every year we've been clearing existing prehistorical tunnels. When I discovered them back in 2006, it was only about 20 meters or, 60 feet of the tunnels. Everybody called it natural cave. But I was able to see the ceiling, which was half radius. I said, this is not natural. We started clearing the filler material. And guess what? the tunnel was moving forward for tens and tens and hundreds of meters. And then we started discovering side tunnels, intersection, chambers, a huge underground tunnel network. At least two civilizations. The first one who built this prehistorical network, the second one who filled it completely with the filler material and built many drywalls. Drywall is a construction. It is a proof that somebody built it. So now, with 6 entrances to those tunnels, we have more than 2 miles of clear tunnels. People come, visit them, especially the first tunnel that we discovered, Ravne tunnels. Ravne in Bosnian means flat. So Ravne tunnels where we have 1.5 mile of clear tunnels. But also other tunnels are very interesting. In one of them, which we call the Ravne 3 tunnels, we discovered more than 3,300 artifacts belonging to different time periods, from late Middle Age, early Middle Age, Byzantine times, ancient Roman times, and Neolithic times. So even though those artifacts, ceramic pieces, metal pieces, do not belong to the original builders, it was very important to discover them because there are many people who never came to Bosnia saying, Osmanagich is digging tunnels by himself. Well, if you find thousands of artifacts, obviously I was not able to plant them, over there. So, every year we progress more and more. And when mentioning the tunnels, it's very important to learn that every year we have hundreds, if not thousands, of healing testimonials in the tunnels. People come, they breathe so well. I mean, you have one entrance, which is at the same time exit, but deeper you go, you breathe better and better. Not very logical, but nothing in Bosnia is logical. People with respiratory problems, asthma, for example, they go inside once or 2 or 3 times. After they come back, they breathe so well, they don't need inhalers, they don't need the air pump no more. People with high blood pressure, once they come back from the tunnels, it gets normalized. People with the high sugar, high glucose in the blood, it drops for so many points. People with the very serious diseases, they come for 10 or 15 days, go into the tunnels twice a day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. And we can see the revolutionary progress in their health. So even though we are not in the healing business, we don't give any medical guarantees. We share the testimonials of those people. We put them on our YouTubes. And more people come, and they are very happy with the results.
What do you think is causing that?
Excuse me?
What do you think is causing that?
Well, what we do, Sandie, we measure. We use scientific instruments. And this is what we've measured. The combination of 10 energy properties. Very quick. The first 5 is the absence of all harmful radiations. You and I, and majority of the people on the planet, live on the surface of the planet. We love it, especially now in Las Vegas. It's a blue sky. In the evening, we can see the moon and the stars. It's romantic. However, we are exposed to a lot of harmful cosmic radiations. Our body cells fight those enemies. You go to the Bosnian Pyramid tunnels, 100 feet below the ground, no harmful cosmic radiations, no enemies. Secondly, we measure natural radioactivity coming from the underground. We use Geiger-Miller counters, no radioactivity. Number 3, geopathogenic radiations, the one that coming from the underground water flows, no geopathogenic radiations. Number 4, signal for the cell phone, for our mobile phones. Of course, we are surrounded by 3G, 4G, 5G network. When we talk 10, 15 minutes, it burns 100,000 of our brain cells. Very bad for us. You go to the tunnels, no signal for the mobile phone. Number 5, no signal for the Wi-Fi, no internet signal. This is the first 5. So when you enter the tunnels for the first time in your life, without the harmful radiations, no enemies to our bodies. So our body cells can start doing their job. What is their job? To fix the problems in our body, to start the regeneration process. Somebody has high blood pressure, somebody has sugar, somebody has tumor, somebody has cancer, somebody has mental problems. What we have happening, regeneration process, detoxification process. And the other 5 elements are measurable energy properties. Number 6, the best frequency of the electromagnetic field, 28 kilohertz. This is the frequency of our planet. Our planet is our mother, so this is the best frequency for us. Not the frequency that you and I use at our homes, 110 volts and 50 hertz. We touch the loose wire, it kills us. 28 kilohertz, very good. Number 7, the best frequency of the ultrasound. How do we get ultrasound in the tunnels? Electromagnetic field, quartz crystal, electromagnetism hit quartz crystal. In science, there is a process called the piezoelectrical effect, which transforms one type of the energy, electromagnetic, to another one, ultrasound. Inside, we measure the presence of 28 kilohertz ultrasound. In science, it is called the levitation frequency. You feel light in the tunnels. Number 8, extremely low frequency, ELF, of 7.83 hertz. In science, it is called the original Schumann resonance. You know, when we got born, we were born at this frequency, 7.83 hertz. Our body resonates at 783. When we think, if somebody still uses that activity in the life, when we think, we produce brain waves at 7.83. As long as our planet resonates at 7.3, we are in balance. But guess what? Due to our technology, computers, laptops, microwaves, TVs, satellite dishes, and so on, this frequency has changed, especially in the contaminated cities, London or New York or Munich or Sarajevo. It goes to 12, 15, 18 hertz. So now we have a disbalance. But you go back to the Bosnian Pyramid tunnels, 7.83, no stress. The element number 9, negative ions. Negative ions are some extra electrons in atoms or molecules. When in the air, free, they connect with the dust, they become heavy, they drop to the floor. So they clear the air from the dust. They clear it from the smoke. They clear it from pollen. They clear it from microbes. And microbes are viruses, bacteria, fungi. More negative ions, healthier for us. In your home, in my hotel room in Las Vegas, very low concentrations of negative ions, 20, 30, 50. We go outside to the downtowns, 100, 150, a little bit fresher. We go to the mountain, pine tree forest, 1,000. You go to the Bosnian Pyramid tunnels between 20 and 50,000 during the summertime, when a lot of tourists are there, and during the winter time, the highest concentration on the planet, 225,000 negative ions per cubic centimeter, and we measure it using air ion counter. This is a special scientific instrument. And number 10, the high level of orgone energy, or chi, or prana, or life energy. There is a special instrument to measure it. So, Sandie, when you combine those 10 elements, you are getting the healthiest and the safest place on the planet. And no wonder that we have been having so many healing testimonials. And again, it's making a sense. The pyramid energy was used for communication and health improvement.
So instead of going to spas, people are now coming to the pyramids.
Thousands and thousands of them. Talking about the numbers, 2018, we have had 40,000 visitors, tourists. 2019, 50,000. 2020, the first corona year, 76,000. 2021, 136,000. 2022, 155,000. And this 2023, we expect about 200,000. And guess what? Without a penny from the government, from the Ministry of Tourism, from touristic boards, and so on. So, word of mouth, and of course, our promotional activities.
Yeah, yeah. When we first spoke about the pyramids in 2013, you had found a similarity between symbols found on megalithic blocks in the prehistoric underground complex that very much like Hungarian runes. Have you found anything else like that?
Now, discovery of the runic symbols was extremely important. For some, it's been considered the oldest European form of writing. According to the mainstream science, it's only 2,500 years old. According to the independent researchers, it's much, much older. It's not that it was, discovered in today's Hungary and then going to the north, Scandinavia, then going to the west, to the UK 2,000 years back. No, at least 7,500 and probably even more. Probably those symbols, which is very advanced way of communication, are connected to the previous cycle of humanity. Previous meaning before the end of the last ice age happened 11,700 years ago. Why was that important, Sandie? We have, according to my classification, 4 levels of communication. The first one, the root, is when you have signs. For example, you have an arrow, it's a sign, go this way. The second one is the form that we use today, an alphabet, A, B, C, D. Those letters, they mean nothing. When you put them together, 5 or 10 letters, you are getting words, you are getting meanings. The third level, even more advanced, are the symbols, hieroglyphic symbols, Mayan symbols, runic symbols, because one symbol has very deep meaning of the process. And the fourth level are energetical symbol. And in most cases, that you can find them looking from the air, some huge symbols somewhere, in the nature. So those 4 levels. So runic symbols were 3rd level. That's why it was important, telling us, well, obviously there was the presence of very advanced humans in the tunnels. Maybe they were not the builders, but even thousands of years back, and we think it's about 5,000 to 6,000, we have presence of advanced, beings over there. Now, have you found anything also interesting when it comes to the artifacts? I mentioned those artifacts, but they belong to the Neolithic times or ancient Roman times, so nothing very exciting there. I think that the energy properties are very exciting because in the tunnels we are finding water. We discovered 5 tunnels with the water that's been exposed to the pyramid energy for thousands of years. We have analyzed the water, first using conventional methods. No viruses, no bacteria, no fungi. Presence of a lot of excellent minerals like magnesium, like calcium, like kalium, and so on. pH is perfect. As you know, pH from 0 to 14, 7 is neutral, below 7, it's acid, no good. Above 7 is alkaline. But our blood is not neutral, it's not 7. Our blood is 7.35 to 7.45. The water from the pyramid tunnels, 7.45. Ideal. And we sent it to, unfortunately late, Dr. Masaru Emoto in Japan. He became very popular by freezing different samples of water and then filming them through the electronic microscope. And he noticed that molecular structure of different samples is different. For example, if it is our city water, which has been treated with the chlorine and fluoride and traces of heavy metals and traces of plastic, it is deformed. But if it is the water which was exposed to the Mozart cosmic music, or which has been exposed to the mantras of love, for 1 hour you tell her, I love you, I love you, I love you. This water is getting hexagonal structure. Why hexagon? Because hexagon is the most powerful geometrical shape when it comes to the energies. And guess what? The Bosnian pyramid water has hexagonal structure. It's structured water. It vibrates high. We are what we drink. We can drink Coke, we can drink, city water, or we can drink the pyramid water. So it vibrates high, meaning it affects our vibration. When we vibrate low, there is a tension. We are nervous. We are violent. And the opposite. When we have love, for the whole world. We vibrate high via what we drink, via what we eat, via what we think, via where we go. We either stay at home within the four walls looking at the magic box telling us so many dead, so many fires, or we go outside to the nature, listen to the birds and the water flow. So we realized that the pyramid energy improves the molecular structure of the water. And this is the third purpose of the pyramid. Number 4, we did an experiment with the seeds of beans. Control group, we kept home. One bag with the seeds we put in the tunnels. One bag on the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. After 14 days, we wanted to check the germinization process. How many seeds will start growing? The control group, which was not exposed to the pyramid energy, 60%. And really, in the real life, when you buy seeds, fruits, vegetables, flowers, not every seed will start growing, 60%. But the seeds from the tunnels, from the top of the Sun Pyramid, 100%, meaning the pyramid energy affects the DNA. Amazing. So you see how it all makes sense? Pyramids, communication, health, water, food.
Yeah.
And wait, that's not all. In the last 3 years, they are telling us the key word is the vaccine. Well, being vaccinated or not vaccinated, you are going to get viruses and bacteria. And then the question is our immunity. Going to the tunnels, we raise our immunity level. Number 6, we got the machine called BioWell from the genius Russian physicist called Professor Konstantin Korotko, which measures our auric field, bioenergy field, before entering the tunnels and after came back. Well, in the last 8 years, this is really update to our talk, we have measured 5,450 people. In medicine, if you measure 100 people, it's scientifically significant. But 5,450, more than 90% auric field was improved. That's the 5th purpose of pyramid energy, to improve our protective shield. The 6th, our chakras. Of course, to the Eastern traditions, Tibet, India, China, besides physical body, we have our energetical body with 7 chakras. And when we look at the chakras of people coming to the tunnels, living in the stressful environment, fear, if they're going to pay the bills or not, chakras are left and right, and they are rather closed. But after visiting the tunnels, they go back to the balance and they open up. So the energy can flow better. By energy flowing better, it affects our physical system, it affects our blood circulation in a very positive way, we are healthy and so on. So again, chakra system improved. That was number 6 or 7. And then
I'm going to hold you there,
yes,
Sam, because we really do have to take a break now.
Let's do it.
Hold that thought. We'll come straight back to it. Right. You're listening to What Is Going On. I am Sandie Sedgbeer, and my guest today is Dr. Sam Osmanagich, discoverer of the Lost Pyramids of Bosnia. We'll be back with more revelations from Dr. Sam Osmanagich after this break.
OMTimes TV. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. OMTimes Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, OMTimes offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an OMTimes magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on OMTimes TV and broadcasting it across the extensive OMTimes radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. OMTimes. Open yourself to the possibilities.
Hello, I'm Sandie Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes' flagship radio show, What is Going On, and as an author, editor and 13 times book judge who's read thousands of books and interviewed hundreds of authors, I'm constantly asked what's really worth reading and what's not. So I created the No BS Spiritual Book Club to help you save time and money by picking the brains of discerning names who've walked this path before you. There's no catch, no fees and no BS, just an ever-growing library of 10 best spiritual book lists from some of your favourite authors and teachers, plus free book excerpts, audios and video interviews with people like Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., David G., Lee Harris, Mark Nepo and more. From well-known classics to hidden gems you've never heard of, it's the only no BS guide to the best spiritual books to enlighten your journey of self-discovery. So why not join the club? Get inspired and save money at the nobsspiritualbookclub.com.
I wanted to talk to you about a program called the Dream Arc and a retreat that we're doing, and I want to invite you along. And the Dream Arc is a dream technology. And even the latest physics is suggesting now that reality is not what we think it is, that it's kind of a construct. And that the Dream Arc teaches us how to use the full operating system to navigate our brain frequencies between waking and sleeping and dreaming, and to move through the inner realms and the outer realms seamlessly. And you will work in the Dream Arc with certain animals that will come to you, maybe in real life, maybe through your intuition, in magical ways, or perhaps through, just dreams that come to you. It's filled, the Dream Arc, with invitations and suggestions and tasks that you choose intuitively. You choose the ones for you. You don't know what you're choosing, but they come to you. So please join us as we dive down the wormhole into the Dream Arc, and let's see what happens.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Welcome back. Dr. Osmanagich, tell us about the other 3 things that make the Bosnian pyramids so healthy, and then I've got some questions for you.
Yes. So you go to the tunnels, we measure the stress level before and after. After, of course, it is reduced. We measure the energy in the cells, which help us fight potential diseases, much more energy in the cells. So now we can see that it is, thing after thing that really makes that pyramids were not about the dead bodies. They were about the living communities. And one more example from our friend, Dr. Alexander Golod from Moscow. He built 16 pyramids. And in one of them, near Moscow, which has been destroyed in the meantime, he placed 5 tons of kitchen salt. And then he had a contract with the nearby prison with 6,000 prisoners. And he asked the management there to use this kitchen salt during the breakfast and lunch and dinner. 3 months later, he went to see the results. He spoke to the department chiefs and he asked if they noticed any difference in behavior of the prisoners. And they said yes, it was unbelievable, but the violence level was reduced to 0%. Now imagine, you have 6,000 prisoners. They always like to play with the guns and the knives. Instead, 0% violence. After his contract expired, after 1 year, he went back to renew it, but he was rejected. He was told they don't want to sign another contract. It seems that for some reason, governments want violence to be around so they can justify their police and armies and all these other apparatus. So, but what I'm saying, the pyramid energy affects literally anything and everything. And one more thing, your program is about the spirituality. Now, when it comes to the such important words, I always like to define, for example, what spirituality means to me. When I was younger, decades ago, they teach me in the school spirituality equals religious. Well, religious and religions is one thing. Faith is another. Spirituality is for me different. For me, spirituality is a development of spiritual senses. So we can sense the world beyond the physical reality. Now, the physical reality, we use 5 physical senses. We can see, we can hear, we can touch, we can taste, we can smell. However, what we can see is so little, is less than 1% of the reality. We can see only within those 6 frequencies of 6 colors that we call the red and orange and yellow, green, blue, and indigo. But more than 99% we cannot see. For example, cats can see a little bit more. I used to have a cat, and he would be fixing something above my head, half a meter above my head. I'm looking there, I see nothing. And then the cat starts moving his eyes. I'm looking, he's obviously following something. I can't see nothing, but he can. What was he seeing? Ghosts, souls, orbs, extraterrestrials, I don't know. But he was seeing something because he could see a little bit more than us. The same thing goes for our ears. We can hear from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Above, we can't hear. It is ultrasound, but that sound does exist. Below, infrasound, we cannot hear, but it exists. Imagine that we can hear a little bit more. Instead, we hear, again, less than 1% of the sound in the universe. But we have also 5 spiritual senses that could, if we develop them, that could help us to see more, to hear more, to smell more, to experience more. Well, one of those senses, feeling the energies, we notice that when you go to the tunnels, and we even have little experiments, people going to one of our big ceramic blocks, which we call K2. When they open their hand, they can feel the energy. They don't touch it, see it, but they can feel that spiritual sense. So we notice that by being exposed to the pyramid energy, you can start developing your spiritual senses. Another spiritual sense, of course, is thought communication, telepathy, spiritual sense. We have potential. Nobody teaches us to develop those potential. Another one is moving objects with the power of our mind. Telekinesis is spiritual sense. Another one, maybe the most important, moving through space and time, teleportation. Now imagine that we develop teleportation abilities. Then instead of reading in the books, 1799, Napoleon went to conquer the Egypt, imagine that we simply program ourselves to go to 1799 and to see if this little fellow went really to Egypt, if he went to the Great Pyramid of Egypt, if he spent the night there, if he came back in chaos next morning. And then we would realize, hey, if I can move to space and time, I have no limits. And that would be the definition of the freedom. No limits, meaning freedom.
Yeah.
So the pyramid energy could help us achieve the state of freedom. Instead of living in fear, and we have so many fears, and one basic fear, the first one is fear of death. Once we realize, hey, besides this physical body being for one use only, we have our soul, which is forever. It does not die. If our soul does not die, it means, why should we fear anything?
Exactly.
Living without the fear in this life, then we realize, hey, we are free people. If we have communities of free people, then things like politics and politicians become irrelevant. We don't depend on them no more. We live our lives because we know that we cannot be destroyed. So you see how the pyramid energy really could help us achieve the freedom. It could help us achieve the real spirituality. And this is probably the reason why mainstream archaeologists, Egyptologists, historians, why non-scientific sites like Wikipedia, Encyclopedia Britannica, Smithsonian are telling us the fairy tales about the pyramids being tombs for the kings or pharaohs. No. Our project, the Bosnian Pyramid Project, is showing that the pyramids were built for the living communities and anybody and everybody could benefit from them.
Have you thought about getting a number of presidents, prime ministers, and leading, luminaries of several countries together down there?
That would be a great idea. Just the other day, last week, we had the president of Bosnia coming and visiting the pyramids. He is from the Social Democrat Party, and they've been against us from the beginning because of the previous president. But this guy came. It was a rather brave move. He was attacked by many. He was there. He was so delighted, and he promised, his help, at least on the verbal level, which is fine. We don't need really money now due to the, a lot of visitors. We managed to cover our costs. So we invite the politicians. The reason why it's good for them to know what's happening there. Not so much scientifically, because still some of them cannot understand that. But when they see economically, the tourism is there, it's good for the country, at least they won't be talking against us like in the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it's more and more recognition, and it would be good, you are right, to bring politicians from so many countries and to place them either on the pyramid of love, which emits vibrations of love, or to maybe to close them, to lock them somewhere in the tunnels until they reach agreements about the major things about the Russian-Ukrainian war or some others, about, hunger in the world or stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, there is a wonderful video of you and Eric von Daniken in the underground labyrinth, which clearly shows masses and masses of orbs surging out from one of the side tunnels and flying all around you. The last time we spoke about this, you were planning to conduct a serious study of this phenomenon. Have you been able to do that?
We've been studying the orbs. Orbs are, it's an energy phenomenon. They look like light beings, and they vibrate at different frequencies than ourselves. Our eyes cannot see them. However, the camera on our mobile phones, those cameras, they work at different frequencies, and they can film them. So you can either take photos or you can even film them. And I know in the beginning, a lot of people were saying, no, it is just a dust, it is humidity. But when you see millions and millions, a river of orbs, and they move in one direction, then change direction, then going zigzag, obviously it is not dust, it is not light, it is not humidity, it is not different exposure on the camera. It is something very real. And, I know when I take groups to Egypt every December, I take them especially to the Red Pyramid, a lot of orbs there. And then Bent Pyramid in Dahshur has been opened for 5 years now. A lot of orbs there. It's very obvious to me that very powerful energetical places like pyramids, like underground construction, is such a huge attraction for so many different beings. In this particular case, light beings as orbs. And we've been studying orbs and concluding that they are very supportive. You can't see nothing, against us. And very often they are present at the places where we conduct the work, where we are clearing the tunnels, where we are putting the wooden support. They are always there. It is like they are looking what we are doing, if we are doing it right, what is going to produce. If you have, for example, a guide with 10, 15 people in his group or her group, the orbs are all around the guide, like they are listening what this guy is telling to his group. So it's very interesting phenomenon, and I think that we've done more in their investigation than anyone else in the world. Our orbs in the rounded tunnels, in 99% of the cases, are white. Even though we can find pink, we can find orange, we can find blue. Around the world, they come in different colors. In our case, mostly white. And then the shapes, they can be different, but in our case, they are mostly spherical. They can be hexagonal, they can be pentagonal, but in our case, mostly spherical. Why is that? So it is like it's a special type of orbs living in the Bosnian Pyramid tunnels. And especially when we are clearing new tunnels, when we remove the filler material, most of them are there, like they've been waiting for someone to release them.
Yeah. It's been suggested that our ancestors built permanent sites of ceremonial activity where geomagnetic and gravitational anomalies have been recorded. And I think it was in the book Origins of the Gods, which by Greg Little and Andrew Collins, they talked about ancient cultures that interacted with intelligences that many believe to be ETs. Have you found any evidence of this at the Bosnian pyramids?
Okay, two things. Very potential energy places is the first thing. We've done several different studies, and we have concluded that 75 leading megalithic and pyramidal sites on 6 continents were built above number of intersection of volcanic lines. What is the volcanic line? You have 2 volcanoes, you connect their tops, that's the volcanic line. If you have pyramid sitting on this line, it's sitting on pyramid line, on volcanic line. However, major pyramids were located on intersection of 5, 10, in the case of Bosnian pyramids, 26 intersection of volcanic line. Why is that important? Volcano, lava, iron, minerals, energy. That's one thing. The second thing, ley lines. Ley line is the phenomenon which is very well researched in UK, where people notice that majority of paganic temples and later on churches were built on those ley lines. Ley lines, probably they have a cosmic origin. They run east-west, north-south. Very often they go as a straight lines. And when you build your sacral object there, it amplifies the energy of the place. Well, in the case of the Balkan region, Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, we have a map of ley lines. Majority of ley lines actually intersect north-south, east-west, and even diagonal ley lines. Most of them are located in the town of Visoko, where the pyramids were built. How did they know that? Well, obviously they did know that. And then, next one, quartz crystal. Very important. Quartz crystal amplifies the energy. Quartz crystal also transforms the energy, and I already mentioned it transforms electromagnetism into the ultrasound. Now, during our archaeological excavation, and you mentioned many thousands of hours, it's more than 600,000 hours on archaeological excavation. This is the most active site in the world. We've discovered a lot of quartz crystal on the Pyramid of the Sun and in the tunnels. The quartz crystal amplifies the energy. Once you take all these elements together, obviously this is energetically very, very potent place. Now, the next question about the ETs. When late Dr. Harry Oldfield from UK, who invented PIP camera, polycontrast interference photography, and then later on, updated version is called New Energy Vision camera, NEV camera, which I have. When he came first to the Bosnian Pyramid site in 2007, he was filming the Bosnian Pyramid. And this camera can show bioenergy fields, as he called them. And usually those fields, in the case of the natural ambient, of the cities, of hills, those fields are always horizontal and static. But in the case of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, those fields are vertical. And then being vertical, energy coming from the pyramid, hitting those horizontal fields, they become vertical. So he was checking the fields, they were vertical. And when I used this camera in Egypt, for example, Khafre, the second largest pyramid, also vertical. So I noticed that there is a new phenomenon which we should call energetically active pyramids. So the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, Moon, Dragon, and so on, some of the Egyptian pyramids, they are active, energetically active. Well, the first thing we noticed was those vertical fields. But the second thing, we could see different energy signature, which was rounded. Actually, it was like oval. Coming from the above, moving through different fields, going exactly to the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, disappearing for some time, and then coming back. So it looked to us like a spaceship, which is not visible to our eyes because it vibrates at different frequency, is coming to the top of the largest pyramid on the planet, which is obviously energy machine, and then probably filling up the tanks, and once it got filled, it moved back. So even though this is the little movie from 2007, it was so amazing. And I mean, unmistakably, you can say, hey, you have the oval shape, it's different energy signature, it's coming to the pyramid, exactly to the pyramid. How does it do it? Because it is, for us, it is something which is very physical, but obviously it's going through and then coming back. So in the meantime, we could film some other phenomena. For example, the clouds, which were exactly like UFOs above the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Were the clouds there to hide something? It's also very possible. So thing after thing, and of course our project is the most open project in the world. A lot of spiritual scientists coming to our place, downloading all kind of information, talking about different spiritual experiences with different beings, with the guards of the Bosnian pyramids and the guards of the tunnels being blue, 5 meters tall, and stuff like that. So books and books could be written on the experiences here at the Bosnian Pyramid site. And probably that's the reason why so many people are coming, because we are so open. This is not the government-run project. There are no museums behind. There is no working hours like 8 to 3. You come 10 to 3. You cannot enter, come back tomorrow. No. We are open for everyone. So it's totally different experience. When you go to Egypt, what people do, they take a selfie of them and the pyramids in the back. They ride a camel and they say on Instagram, hey, I visited the Egyptian pyramids. It has nothing to do with the pyramids. But when you come to Bosnia, you go to the tunnels, you experience the energy, you experience the healing stuff. You go to the Sun Pyramid, you think about the past. It's completely different experience. And
I know.
what pyramids were about. They were about experiencing the pyramid energy, because they were about the energy, and everything in our life is about the energy. We talk because we have electricity and internet. It's the energy. We are in warm rooms. It's about the energy. Just our sources of energy are so raw. I mean, they are so wrong. Coal, oil, gas, nuclear, very expensive, limited. You have elites. You have most of the humanity, living on the verge, having troubles and struggling, paying the bills. Imagine clean energy, unlimited, free. That's what the pyramids were about. Our project is much more than the archaeology. And one last thing I want to mention, Sandie.
Make it quick, because we've only got a minute.
Since our last talk, we purchased 15 neglected properties, swampy properties, mud, garbage everywhere. We transformed them into the most beautiful park in Southern Europe, which has become the cultural oasis. Sport activities. Novak Djokovic opened the tennis courts over there. Festivals, fair, everything for free. Yoga, meditation, different concept of living. Instead of what we've been offered, transhumanism, where we're going to be controlled by technology. No. Go back to the nature. Harmony with the nature. Harmony among us. technology we use for our own purposes. So this project has become concept of future, different than what we offer now.
Absolutely. And I've been to the Bosnian Pyramids, and I've been down there with a number of people who are very energetically sensitive. And I came back with a lot of stories to tell. Dr. Sam Osmanagich, thank you. Very quickly, if somebody wants to come and volunteer during their summer vacation, how do they do that?
Of course, social media, website, Facebook, Instagram, Bosnian Pyramids, or under my name, Sam Osmanagich. They can find how to come from June to October. They can stay 2-3 days or 2 months. This is what people do. Every shift has at least 20-30 people from 10 countries. They have a good time. In the last 13 years, 3,750 volunteers from 64 countries. They became our best ambassador, and they have the time of their life.
Yes, they do. And you can't do that in Egypt. Dr. Sam Osmanagich, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're very
Good to
welcome.
speak with you again. And again, if you want to find out more, if you want to volunteer, go to bosniapyramid.org or samosmanagich.com. That's it for this week. I'm Sandie Sedgbeer. I'll be back again at the same time next week. Till then, it's goodbye from me, and thank you to Dr. Sam.